Welcome, everyone. I am Jeannie Duffy, Executive Director of Serve Wisconsin. We are Wisconsin's National and Community Service Board and the proud host of the Governor's Service Awards. I want to thank you all for attending in person and virtually. This is our first attempt at live streaming an awards ceremony. I'm sorry, I can't speak today. And it should go perfectly. But if it doesn't and there's any technical issues, I apologize to the people at home. And for those of you attending virtually, you can find a copy of the program at our website, servewisconsin.wi.gov, under the tab Governor's Service Awards. I would also like to thank our state and local officials who are here today, including Department of Corrections Secretary Kevin Carr and Mayor Denny Helgerson from Westby. We are also grateful that Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes will be joining us later to deliver our closing remarks. Today, you will be inspired how AmeriCorps seniors, and VISTA members and volunteers have risen to the challenge of the pandemic. They have continued to serve, even at a risk to their own personal safety. Others have completely changed the course of their service and lives to respond to the needs that have arisen from the pandemic. We are also excited to start a new tradition this year by recognizing Wisconsin AmeriCorps seniors who have served for over 20 years or longer. And it was great pleasure that we recognize the hard work and dedication these 221 outstanding individuals have shown for their communities throughout the decades. Unfortunately, Governor Evers could not join us today, but we have a congratulatory video message from the governor.
Hi folks, Governor Tony Evers here, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to the 2021 Governor's Service Awards. Today, we will be honoring 9 Wisconsinites and 5 organizations in our state that are spearheading positive, impactful change through their service to the people of Wisconsin. I'm also proud to share that we're establishing a new tradition for this ceremony. This morning, we'll be honoring AmeriCorps senior volunteers who have reached 20 years of service to their communities. To the 221 AmeriCorps senior volunteers who have reached that impressive milestone in volunteer service, on behalf of our entire state, thank you for your hard work and dedication. Your service is an inspiration to all of us. Your service and the service of all honorees we're recognizing today exemplifies our shared Wisconsin values of empathy, compassion, service, and taking care of our neighbors. And this service has been even more critical this past year as our state and nation responded to the COVID-19 pandemic. Each of you here today and volunteers across the state has worked around the clock supporting your communities and their state's time of need. And now, thanks to your hard work, we're starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm thankful that this year's ceremony can be held in person. Today, I'm proud to recognize each of the honorees this year: Trey, Colin, Kat, Dolly, Betty, Sally, Maryssa, Lisa, Don, DPI, Farm to School, Copper Lake Foster Grandparents, MCHS Volunteer Wisconsin, Silver Threads, and the Wisconsin Association of Free and Charitable Clinics. You have made a real difference thanks to your tireless efforts to support and help your fellow Wisconsinites. But your service is not only outstanding because of the impressive, quantifiable impact you have had in the number of students served, masks made, meals delivered, and many other important measures. It's also outstanding because of the compelling stories of the impact you have had on folks and entire communities across the state. Stories like volunteers dressing in full PPE to help families filling out their FAFSA applications in person and helping a Wisconsinite that became homeless, securing food and housing assistance and employment. Or stories like driving long distances to offer companionship to a tribal elder while she receives dialysis, and creating and delivering quilts to honor World War II veterans whose commemoration event had to be canceled due to the pandemic. There are countless other stories like the ones I just mentioned that showcase the incredible impact you've had on the people of our state. We are all deeply grateful for your service, and I'm incredibly proud to recognize all the honorees this year for your dedicated service and for the example you've set for our state. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Governor Evers, for your remarks and your continued support of service and volunteerism. But now to present the awards. The following honorees were nominated by their peers and were selected by an independent panel of reviewers. We had a large number of nominees, and all are doing incredible work. Every year, I'm glad I do not have to pick the winner. I want to thank our team of reviewers for their time, effort, and thoughtful consideration in reading and scoring the nominations. And now to present the awards, I will introduce Christine Beatty, our chair of the Wisconsin National and Community Service Board.
Good morning. On behalf of the Wisconsin National and Community Service Board, I would like to express how appreciative we are for the service of the individuals and the organizations we are recognizing today. Thank you for the difference you've made through your service. Starting our ceremony this morning, we're going to recognize our AmeriCorps Member of the Year honoree, who is Trey Wafford from College Possible, Milwaukee. With a strong drive to increase access to higher education and build up educational equity throughout Milwaukee, Trey completed 3 terms as AmeriCorps service with College Possible in Milwaukee. Over the last school year, Trey worked at Kashmir Pulaski High School in Milwaukee with 33 aspiring college students to break down barriers to enrolling in higher education. He worked to form a strong relationship with his students and a deep understanding of their strengths. He could draw upon his experience from multiple years of service to determine when he should change his approach to help his students navigate the complex college application process. During his service, he reflected that the goals he was setting for his students were too broad. So he adjusted to make their goals more detailed and scaffolded, modeling the steps for students to help them continue to progress independently when needed. Throughout his service, Trey put particular focus on forging relationships and getting to know his students' strengths to better understand the way they learned and how he needed to mentor them individually to help them achieve their academic dreams. His dedication to his students went beyond the school day, as Trey designed his schedule around his students' needs, making himself available to them on nights and weekends. When it came time for students to fill out their FAFSA applications, which include sensitive financial information that many families guard pretty closely, Trey wore PPE to help his students and their families complete the forms in person. He worked with numerous students and families on this process, including many that were not a part of his cohort, so that more students would have access to the financial resources necessary to enroll in college. His attentive, personalized approach yielded positive results. 84% of the students that Trey worked with intend to enroll in college, and 60% intend to enroll in a BA granting institution. This is 10 times the school average. Trey believes if he invests in his students as complex individuals with potential, the return will be compassionate, thoughtful leaders, ready to make the city of Milwaukee, the state of Wisconsin, and the entire country a better place. Trey's service with College Possible truly cultivated future leaders who will, without a doubt, benefit from his support for many years to come. Congratulations, Trey. Thank you. Next, we'll recognize our AmeriCorps Program of the Year honoree, which is the Department of Public Instruction AmeriCorps Farm to School program. The Department of Public Instruction AmeriCorps Farm to School program is dedicated to increasing access to fresh, healthy foods in schools and providing nutrition education to students. Their AmeriCorps members have impacted tens of thousands of students since the program launched in 2008 and have served nearly 75,000 hours during the past 4 years alone. AmeriCorps members with Farm to School reach students in numerous ways, including leading lessons on nutrition, conducting tastings of local food, working with students in school gardens, and connecting students with local farmers through classroom presentations or farm tours. When schools closed and moved to remote learning due to COVID, the Farm to School members found ways to continue reaching their students through virtual nutrition lessons, cooking demonstrations, and farm tours. Additionally, many were able to continue maintaining the school gardens so that students would have items to harvest in the fall and provide home garden kits to their students to help connect them to their school garden. To help facilitate an increase in healthy local foods being served in school lunch programs, Farm to School AmeriCorps members launched the Wisconsin Local Foods Database to connect more food service directors and farmers across the state. Building upon information they had been gathering over the past few years, they launched the database as a website available to the public. The Wisconsin Local Food Database is decreasing the time required of food service directors to research and connect with local farmers. Additionally, it is assisting farmers who local market have been impacted by the pandemic to easily connect with school districts and make it possible for anyone in the general public to find healthy foods that these farmers provide. Through a combination of innovative service and multiple efforts to improve student health and nutrition throughout Wisconsin, Farm to School AmeriCorps members are making a significant difference for Wisconsin students, school staff, farmers, and local communities. Next, we recognize our AmeriCorps VISTA Member of the Year honoree, who is Colin Mackey, who is serving with Habitat for Humanity of Wisconsin River area. Colin began serving as an AmeriCorps VISTA member at Habitat for Humanity of Wisconsin River area last October to help low-income homeowners make repairs on their homes. As the community outreach coordinator, Colin quickly launched into his service. Within weeks of his arrival, he was conducting trainings for area veteran services specialists and social workers to assist clients with the home repair program applications. A quick learner, Colin identified funding opportunities and expanded Habitat's home repair program budget from $30,000 to $114,000 by securing grant funding. He worked to obtain certification for Habitat as an aging-in-place specialist through the National Association of Home Builders and registration as an approved VA builder. These designations allowed them to provide more comprehensive services with access to additional grant funding. His service helped Habitat dramatically increased the number of people that it served. After just the first 6 months of his service, and despite the ongoing pandemic, Colin helped 30 families repair their homes, nearly doubling the 16 homeowners that had been served the entire previous year. The impact of Colin's service did not stop at his local affiliate. He provided training for other Habitat for Humanity affiliates across the country on how to best serve vulnerable populations. Colin's AmeriCorps VISTA service has helped Habitat for Humanity of Wisconsin River area and Habitat affiliates across the nation fulfill their mission to build homes, communities, and hope. He quickly made a significant impact on those living in the local communities by expanding the ability for Habitat to provide needed home repairs. The knowledge he passed on through trainings and presentations, coupled with the grant funding he obtained, will have a lasting legacy for the citizens of Wisconsin and people throughout the country. Congratulations. Our next award will honor our AmeriCorps VISTA Program of the Year, which is the Wisconsin Association of Free and Charitable Clinics, which is called WAFC. WAFC, America VISTA members serve 160,000 Wisconsin residents who lack adequate medical care and are uninsured or underinsured, believing that everyone should have an opportunity to receive proper medical care, no matter their situation. WAFC VISTA members serve in numerous ways at over 20 clinics throughout the state. Over the last year, VISTA members obtained over $600,000 in grants and in-kind support. Yeah, just come on down. Come on down. What a great looking group, right? These VISTA members obtained over $600,000 in grants and in-kind support. These funds have helped their clinics expand their dental programs, receive immunization support, and provide care to underserved and underinsured Wisconsinites. Come on down, come on. Yeah, come on, come on. We want you all on the stage, smiling. No, that's perfect. And especially during the pandemic, to have this rich resource was so critical. This impact gained even greater significance during pandemic in the last 2 years, as these vulnerable populations served needed these clinics more than ever. The VISTA members stepped up their service in a time of desperation. Working to build the capacity of their clinics to serve the public, they rose to meet these needs with enthusiastic and innovative solutions. WAFC members obtained over $80,000 in COVID-19 aid for the clinics they served, such as personal protective equipment, COVID test kits, vaccine vouchers, and other needed elements. Congratulations to you.
I'm so sorry. Thank you.
Wonderful job. Thank you so much. Okay, have we got the picture? Great. Thank you, guys and gals.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You bet. Oh, no, this is great. We want
It's their
everyone.
awards.
Yeah, you bet. These are our future leaders, ladies and gentlemen. Aren't we blessed? We will next be recognizing our Alumni of the Year honoree, who is Katherine Matisse. She served for 2 years with Teach for America, Milwaukee, and is currently teaching at the Carmen Schools of Science and Technology, and is the executive director of Two Birds Tutoring. Katherine grew up in continuously advocating in and for her community. To Kat, educational activism meant dedicating her time and knowledge to underserved communities, urging students and teachers to regularly confront systems of oppression, and encourage her students to always ask, why? With a firm commitment to promoting educational equality and equity, Kat decided to serve as an AmeriCorps member for 2 years with Teach for America Milwaukee, teaching at Carmen Schools of Science and Technology Northwest Campus. She believed that through her service, she could help give her students the skills and understanding to empower them to advocate for themselves and to change what they believe to be wrong or unjust in the world. Following the completion of her AmeriCorps service, Katherine has not only continued making an impact for the students at Carmen Northwest, but has also founded Two Birds Tutoring, a nonprofit designed to provide employment opportunities to Milwaukee teens while simultaneously delivering high-quality academic services to local elementary students. Kat's service within the classroom also reached well beyond the call of duty during the pandemic, when some of her students began to fall behind and struggled to complete assignments on time. She formed an open-door policy through FaceTime. Students were able to call her whenever they needed for homework help, mentoring, questions, or wellness check-ins. She soon had a small group of students regularly calling for group homework hours, who, as soon as it was safe, planned weekend activities, outdoor outings with Kat to spend time with one another and enjoy time with their peer mentor. Kat's commitment to the students of Milwaukee did not end when her AmeriCorps service concluded, nor did it stop at the schoolhouse door. While driving a former student home from an interview at a local McDonald's, she and the students spoke about how to find a job with good pay that would get them ready for their desired future in social work. Their discussion centered around how her older former students needed career opportunities and job skills to make this possible, but her current students needed academic support. On that drive home, Kat realized she could solve these two problems with one solution. Two birds perched on one stone. Founded just last year, the Two Birds mission is to provide well-paying and intentional job opportunities for teens in Milwaukee to serve as tutors for their younger peers at no cost to family. Kate's career as an educator and as the executive director of Two Birds Tutoring are still in their early stages, but the foundation she created through her AmeriCorps service has already made a significant impact in the lives of numerous students and will only continue to make a difference for many more. Thank you, Kat. Next, our AmeriCorps Senior Volunteer of the Year honoree is Mildred Dolly McGeshik, who serves as the Senior Companions Program with the Great Lakes Intertribal Council. Mildred Dolly McGeshik has dedicated her life to helping others and continues to make a difference to the people of Wisconsin through her AmeriCorps Senior service with the Great Lakes Intertribal Council Senior Companion Program and the care that she consistently shows for those within the local tribal community. Dolly began showing this commitment to others at a young age. Despite loving school and being a strong student, Dolly stayed home from school after her mother left in order to take care of her younger brothers and sisters. When later caring for 3 of her uncles, she drove them to elder association meetings at different tribal locations each month. And although she was too young to attend the meetings, she was allowed to stay to assist her uncles. Her involvement grew, and she was ultimately voted to the board in 1966 of what is today the Great Lakes Native American Elders Association. Feeling it is her duty to care for other people, she expanded the scope of this commitment, traveling to Washington, D.C. to advocate for Native American causes, becoming the first Indian child welfare worker in the country, and assisting with the development of the Indian Child Welfare Act. She has had a significant impact on numerous people, from the 69 children she has helped raised from both her own Mole Lake Sakagon, is that right? Sakagon? Ojibwe tribe and others, to all of those impacted by her advocacy and efforts. Dolly's impact through the American seniors began before she was eligible to start serving with the program itself. Dolly wrote the first grant in the 1970s for a foster grandparent program to serve children from Wisconsin tribes in northern Wisconsin. Today, this program is also administered by the Great Lakes Intertribal Council. Dolly became an official volunteer with the Senior Companions Program in 2015 and has since served over 6,000 hours and counting. Through her service, she has helped tribal elders in her community by offering friendship, companionship, running errands, doing chores, and giving rides. An outstanding example of this service includes her eagerly agreeing to accompany a tribal elder to dialysis treatment last year, despite needing to drive an hour and a half and it being during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. She has not just enhanced the life of these individuals, but she has also been a major asset to the program as a go-to person when questions need answering or phone calls or other connections need to be made. Reflecting on her desire to help those in her community, she explains that when I get food, I feed others. Throughout her life and through her AmeriCorps senior service, Dolly has made a true impact for tribal communities that has sustained and bettered the life of countless individuals. Thank you, Dolly. We will now recognize our AmeriCorps Seniors Program of the Year honoree, which is Copper Lake Lincoln Hills Foster Grandparent Program. The Copper Lake Lincoln Hills Foster Grandparent Program is one of the longest operating AmeriCorps Seniors programs in the state. They first started serving youth at the Copper Lake School in 1973. Unlike other foster grandparent programs in the state that operate at typical K-12 schools, their volunteers serve in the only Type 1 correctional facility for youth in the state of Wisconsin. Their foster grandparents volunteer in the living units, school classrooms, and/or with their reading buddy program, striving to bring a spirit of love and care to the young people in these facilities. The volunteers take on numerous roles as part of their service, tutoring the youth in multiple subjects and acting as a mentor that can provide them with needed attention. They engage the youth in activities ranging from playing cards or games, baking treats together to share, doing crafts, to simply talking and serving as a willing ear that will not judge or give up on them. The foster grandparents have an amazing ability to communicate with the youth and form connections in ways that facility staff sometimes cannot. The youth know these volunteers do not have to be there and yet commit to coming there because of their caring spirit. They also provide an additional sense of consistency for youth through their long-term commitment to serve as volunteers. To continue providing this care presence for the youth during the pandemic, the program worked with the Department of Corrections to have the foster grandparents return to serving in person following the availability of the COVID-19 vaccines. It took time for the volunteers to build up a rapport for the youth after returning, as roughly 95% of the youth had not been at the facility prior to the pandemic and did not know what to think of these incoming foster grandparents. By the end of the second week, the youth began to open up to the volunteers, and the environment began shifting around them. When the foster grandparents held a day in the gym with the youth, faculty staff reported it being a whole new world. While engaging with the volunteers in games and craft activities, the day showcased an overall atmosphere of respect without argument. The youth took the initiative to pick up the bean bags for the grandmas they were playing cornhole with, so they wouldn't have to bend over so far. With the growing impact of their service becoming apparent following their return, the superintendent and the educational director for the schools have even reached out to see if the foster grandparents can be there for more days and later hours to expand the difference that they are making. Across the 48 years that the Copper Leg Lincoln Hills Foster Grandparents Program has been in operation, they have continued to show up and make a difference in the lives of youth within a very challenging environment. They have had an invaluable impact for the young people within these facilities, offering them far more than just an educational assistance, but serving as caring mentors that demonstrate a willingness to invest their time and heartfelt attention to provide connections for these youth. Thank you for your service. Next, we are to recognize 2 AmeriCorps senior volunteers for a long-term impact of their service over a period of at least 15 years. Our first AmeriCorps senior lifetime impact volunteer is Betty Elsner, who serves with the RSVP of Dane County. Unfortunately, Betty had family health issues and would not be able to be here with us today. But she has a special place in my heart. I started my career in aging services working with RSVP of Dane County. And Margie Sutter, who is going to accept the award for Betty, reminded me that in 1978, I enrolled Betty in their program. We both were amazed that it was 43 years ago. Betty has made a remarkable difference for the people of Wisconsin over 4 decades of service with RSVP of Dane County. She initially responded to their call for volunteers in September of 1978 when they first launched their service to deliver meals to older adults. After her retirement, she expanded her service by joining the kitchen crew at the Stoughton Area Senior Center, helping to put the meals together before delivering her regular route. In her over 42 years of service, she has delivered an estimated 38,000 meals to seniors who depend on these meals to be able to live independently in their communities. Betty realized early on during her volunteering that she was often the only person that the seniors she delivered meals to would see that day. To provide additional opportunities for their seniors, she would occasionally draft her teenage son to help deliver meals with her. Her home-delivered meal clients always enjoyed having a young visitor. The seniors who received these meals not only depended on them to live independently where they wished, they also ate healthier meals, foods, and they also reported that the RSVP volunteer that delivered their meal gives them someone to talk to, a sense of safety, and a link to more support. Betty has brought a friendly reassurance to some of the most isolated and vulnerable community members that someone cares for them. She has gone to great lengths to always be there for these older adults, not even letting broken bones stop her service. After hurting her wrist while at work late one Sunday night, she did not think there was enough time to get a substitute volunteer driver for her Monday morning home-delivered meal shift. So her husband drove her, and she still delivered the meals. Only afterward did she see a doctor, finding out that her wrist was broken. Betty never considered canceling because she knew that the home-delivered meal recipients depended on her. When the senior center had to stop using older adult volunteers to deliver meals for several months during COVID last spring, she said that not being able to provide her AmeriCorps senior volunteer service almost did her in, and that she was incredibly happy when she could deliver meals again. After returning to service, she was able to help the Stoughton Area Senior Center reach seniors that were now even more in need of these meal deliveries due to the pandemic, as their volunteer team ultimately delivered over 10,000 meals in Stoughton in 2020. Betty Elsner is a vital member of the RSVP of Dane County volunteer team, and a big reason that the meal recipients have a positive experience each day. She is their longest serving volunteer and the longest actively serving AmeriCorps senior volunteer in Wisconsin. Throughout the last 42 years, and still now every Monday, Betty has not just packed up and delivered meals, she has delivered companionship and healthier and happy futures for older adults in need. Margie? We want to send our greetings to Betty and thank her for her over 4 decades of service to this program. And Margie and I have put our heads together. We're hoping to do something special for Betty at Stoughton Senior Center soon. Our second AmeriCorps Senior Lifetime Impact Volunteer is Sally Vyvyan, who serves with the Southwestern Wisconsin Community Action Program, FASTER Grandparent Program. When asked at Wesby Elementary, how do you spell awe-inspiring, a likely response that it is spelled S-A-L-L-Y for Grandma Sally. For nearly 2 decades, Sally Vyvyan has positively impacted students and classrooms at Wesby Elementary as an AmeriCorps Seniors volunteer with the Foster Grandparent Program that is currently operated by the Southwestern Wisconsin Community Action Program. Sally has made a significant impact for Wesby students since 2002. Providing at least 15,000 hours of service to make a difference in their education. She typically volunteers 20 hours or more per week during the school year. Her commitment to her students continues after leaving school for the day, as you can often find Sally at the town library researching the challenges children face and how they might impact their ability to learn. She strives to apply the knowledge to best serve her students, saying her greatest joy is seeing how the children she works with progress from her help. Sally works with almost every classroom through the 3rd grade at the school, and she typically has between 10 to 15 specific students each year. The difference she makes for her students is tangible. Her students have a success rate of over 90% in achieving the goals set by the school since 2017. When the pandemic shut down in-person learning and prevented her from working with her students, she looked forward to the chance to return to the classroom. It turned out she was not the only one eagerly waiting for her return, as she found a giant "Welcome Back, Grandma Sally" sign made by the students when entering the school, and was greeted by every student and staff member lining the hallway and clapping to welcome her back. When reflecting upon her service and honors she has received, including the Presidential Award in 2012 for 10,000 hours of service, Sally describes being grateful for these, but there is no award greater than a child's smile, hug, or respect. Over her nearly 2 decades of service, she has received hundreds upon hundreds of these, while making a lasting difference for students at Wesby Elementary School. Thank you. Our next award will recognize our Volunteer Coordinator of the Year honoree, who is Maryssa Paulsen. She's been serving as the volunteer coordinator of New Leaf Foods while serving with Marshfield Clinic Health Systems, AmeriCorps Volunteer Wisconsin. Maryssa was motivated to serve at New Leaf Foods Incorporated through Marshfield Clinic Systems AmeriCorps Volunteer Wisconsin from her experience with inconsistent access to healthy food and the need for food assistance programs while growing up in rural Wisconsin. Maryssa is a volunteer coordinator powerhouse for New Leaf Foods, recruiting highly effective volunteers after streamlining their volunteer recruitment procedures and putting in inclusive excellence at the heart of their volunteer practices. Maryssa increased New Leaf's food organizational capacity by streamlining volunteer recruitment procedures, improving communication and collaborative partnerships processes and outreach functions. As the volunteer coordinator for Garden Blitz, one of New Leaf's most volunteer-intensive efforts that requires in-person volunteers, she helped revise and implement a plan allowing this program to continue during the pandemic. The program had already installed almost 800 raised bed garden boxes to assist low-income, diverse population neighborhoods throughout the Green Bay area since 2014, and it was highly dependent on its volunteers. The procedures she developed created preparations and precautions that would allow volunteers to serve safely. As the outreach coordinator for New Food Forum, she identified local food stakeholders throughout the food production, shipping, and consumption spectrum and encouraged them to become involved in the development of sustainable, healthy, local food systems. Her efforts have helped New Leaf Food continue growing towards becoming a local food communications hub for Green Bay regional consumers that serves as a place to turn to for trusted information about healthy local food. Her service improved New Leaf's volunteer recruitment, communication, outreach, and collaborative partnerships, and has enabled them to better promote and develop healthy local food systems. Her contributions in increasing access to healthy foods will be felt for years to come in the health of the residents of the greater Green Bay area. Thank you, Maryssa. Our next set of awards will recognize service done in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, including recognition for 2 individuals and 2 organizations for their service. Our first COVID-19 Response Service Award honoree is Lisa Penterman, who serves as an AmeriCorps member with the Be Well Fox Valley AmeriCorps program at Feeding America, Eastern Wisconsin. Lisa Penterman was motivated to serve at Feeding America, Eastern Wisconsin through the Be Well Fox Valley AmeriCorps program because she wanted to provide others with self-sufficiency. According to Lisa, any day I can help someone in need is a good day. What a nice saying. Any day I can help someone in need is a good day. When the needs in communities throughout the state grew dramatically following the spread of COVID-19, she helped address the increase in food insecurity caused by the pandemic. Lisa took on numerous efforts to help Feeding America Eastern Wisconsin assist over 600,000 Wisconsin residents throughout the 35 counties they serve. To help food pantry clients safely receive food during the pandemic, she coordinated drive-through mobile food pantries across multiple counties. She typically helped with at least 3 to 6 of these mobile pantries a week, supporting and coordinating volunteers, performing traffic control, providing food share information to participants, and putting food boxes into the participants' vehicles. Additionally, as food pantries experienced unprecedented community need and a drastic demand in food, she stepped up to review order forms to ensure pantries were ordering the correct amount of food. She provided this support for each of the pantries they served, helping to eliminate errors and making sure needed food was not wasted or misdirected. Lisa also strove to combat food insecurity through substantial efforts to provide outreach and education on food share to community members, organizations, and food pantries. These efforts included connecting with over 300 community assistance organizations and all 160 pantries within their service area, passing out flyers, talking to individuals during mobile food pantries. Lisa also conducted outreach and provided technical assistance to community members applying for food share benefits through calls, connecting individuals with agencies that could assist them, helping 152 clients apply for food share benefits that totaled 89,500 meals. The diligence, passion, and innovation that Lisa Penterman brought to her service helped thousands of food insecure individuals during the COVID-19 pandemic. Patty Habak, Senior CEO and President of Feeding America Eastern Wisconsin, described Lisa's impact on their response dramatically needs for assistance, saying Lisa learned quickly how to do food share outreach and became an integral part of the outreach staff. Her patience, empathy, and compassion helped people feel more comfortable during a very difficult time. I am quite certain we wouldn't have been able to achieve the level of service we provided during the pandemic without Lisa's help. Congratulations. Our next COVID-19 Response Service awardee is Don Strube, who serves as an AmeriCorps Seniors Volunteer with RSVP of Portage County. Unfortunately, Don is unable to be with us today, but I do want to tell you about him and his story. Don Strube has taken his father's advice throughout his life that if you quit moving, you quit moving. He's taken it to heart. This dedication to keep going throughout challenges had made a significant difference for older adults in Portage County, particularly during the pandemic. Since a young age, Don has been serving others, enlisting and serving in the Marine Corps for 4 years, then as a deputy sheriff with the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office, then a correctional officer until his retirement. Not one to quit moving, Don has been a volunteer driver with the Portage County Retired and Senior Volunteer Program for the past 11 years. He provides free transportation to older adults to medical appointments and other essential business, with his service critical to many Portage County seniors, particularly older residents in rural areas without access to any kind of public transportation. He was always willing to take any trip requested, regardless of the distance. When combined with the compassionate ear he offered to those he drove through their conversations, it was no surprise that he was one of their most frequently requested drivers. This was especially important during the pandemic and the growing concerns of social isolation and loneliness it caused, particularly for senior citizens. For many of his passengers, Don was one of the very few people they spoke to face-to-face for more than a year. When the COVID-19 pandemic started spreading, Don's rides became more important than ever. Despite being in the high-risk older adult population, he was one of only a handful of volunteer drivers who continued to serve during the pandemic. To keep everyone safe, he diligently followed all the CDC guidelines and program protocols for masking, and Don sanitized his vehicle after each ride. By carefully following these practices, Don's riders knew that they could depend on him during their time of need. And neither he nor any of his riders contracted COVID-19 from one another. As an RSVP driver, Don has driven 102,500 miles and clocked more than 7,600 hours over 11 years. As one of the only volunteer drivers still serving after the start of the pandemic, Don drove 24,600 miles while providing 324 trips just during the period from March 2020 through May 2021 alone. The value of his service is much larger than the numbers on his odometer. Having seen in his impact on the people he transports, one of Don's regular riders is an 80-year-old woman with significant medical challenges. Don's rides allow her to get to medical appointments without feeling like she is a burden on her relatives, the closest of which lives 50 miles from her. She is certainly not a burden on Don, who she specifically requests when scheduling trips. He shared, "I don't consider them my riders. They're my friends." Thank you, Don, for giving independence and peace of mind to your riders, your friends, and their families, continuing to answer the call to service even during one of the most difficult times in our lifetime. Thank you, Don. Our next COVID-19 Response Service Award honoree is Marshfield Clinic Health Systems AmeriCorps Volunteer Wisconsin, which AmeriCorps members led multiple relief efforts through the state. Marshfield Clinic Health Systems, AmeriCorps Volunteer Wisconsin, aims to strengthen communities by increasing the capacity of nonprofit organizations to serve the public by improving how they recruit, manage, and engage volunteers. Since the program's creation in 2014, their 227 AmeriCorps members have provided 92 nonprofits with the tools they need to grow and strengthen the impact of their volunteers. With 13,142 new volunteers recruited, giving 147,400 hours of service to their communities. Effectively coordinating volunteers can dramatically impact the service a nonprofit organization can provide, and it became even more critical for organizations and communities following the spread of COVID throughout the state. The pandemic caused a rapid shift in the services done by most of their AmeriCorps members, as many of their host site organizations paused traditional volunteer projects for an undetermined amount of time. While many volunteer Wisconsin AmeriCorps members had to help their organizations navigate these pauses in services, others had to make it possible for their host sites to dramatically increase services in response to the pandemic. Those serving with food pantries and community shelters had to help develop modified distribution processes so both clients receiving the services and the nonprofit staff and volunteers were safe. In addition, many volunteer Wisconsin members received permission from their supervisors to engage in alternative service activities that directly responded to COVID-19 needs in their communities and throughout the state, providing over 5,000 hours of alternative COVID relief services. Several began answering calls for Wisconsin 211, joining AmeriCorps members from other programs throughout the state to operate its new COVID-19 helpline. Additionally, they held food drives for veterans, provided child care for medical professionals, fed the homeless when volunteers were scarce, created digital and distanced recognitions for graduating high school seniors without in-person ceremonies, and in many other ways. Despite the myriad of challenges they faced coordinating volunteers during a pandemic, Volunteer Wisconsin had a long-lasting impact for the nonprofits they assisted and the community as a whole. They not only organized volunteers to deliver critical services and assistance to people impacted by the pandemic, but they stepped up themselves to take on additional alternative service activities to help their communities responding to growing needs across the state. Thank you for your service. Okay, great, thank you. Our final COVID-19 Response Service Award honoree is Silver Threads through RSVP of Portage County, whose AmeriCorps volunteers sewed 3,500 masks and other projects to help others in Portage County. For more than 20 years, Silver Threads has been one of the signature programs of the Retired and Senior Volunteer Program, RSVP, of Portage County. Silver Thread volunteers use their sewing skills to craft items that are donated to individuals and nonprofit organizations in the Portage community. They create items needed in the community, including quilts and blankets, bibs and burp cloths, wheelchair and walker bags, hot pads, chemo hats, mitten, and a wide range of other items. When COVID-19 started spreading, despite being unable to meet to collaborate and complete their projects, the Silver Threads volunteers quickly communicated to take on new projects responding to the pandemic. And they did it from home. With the need for cloth face masks becoming an immediate need facing their community, they jumped into action to provide the necessary masks. Rising to the occasion, Silver Threads went to work. They produced 3,500 cloth masks that were distributed by RSV staff and volunteers to hospitals, food pantry, hospice organization, long-term care and assisted living facilities, medical personnel, and others. Many also assisted other local organizations to help them make and provide masks that were handed out at bank drive-through services, food banks, and essential volunteer-based organizations. One special project was organized around the local Spirit of 45 event that had been planned for August 2020 in Portage County to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the end of World War II. Due to the pandemic, the event had to be canceled, but the Silver Threads volunteers worked diligently to make sure that local veterans would still be honored. They created quilts that were delivered to every known World War II veteran, as well as for several Korean and Vietnam Vietnam War veterans. The response from the veterans and their families at this special recognition, including an outpouring of thanks for the creation of these detailed veterans' quilts of appreciation. Silver Threads is a hallmark example of using one's talent and passion for serving others. The members of Silver Threads love what they do, and their efforts have helped the Portage County community for more than 2 decades. Their passion has not stopped for anything, not even the pandemic. Despite the obstacles they faced, their 19 volunteers reported 4,300 hours of service over the past year. Through their hard work, they created 4,200 items valued at $44,000, which were donated to communities, to members and nonprofit organizations. They responded to make a difference for their community, stepping up to provide masks to keep their community members safe and to create a wide range of items to fulfill community needs. Thank you. We're very excited with our new initiative today to recognize AmeriCorps senior volunteers with over 20 years of service. These are our AmeriCorps senior volunteers in Wisconsin that have volunteered through RSVP, Retired and Senior Volunteer Program, and the Foster Grandparent Program. This recognition was added to the annual ceremony this year as a thank you to these volunteers for their many years of significant service. This will become a yearly tradition at future ceremonies where we will honor volunteers as they reach the 20-year milestone. Because this is the first year of doing this recognition, we will be honoring all of the AmeriCorps senior volunteers that have already reached the 20-year mark. After reaching out to all of the AmeriCorps senior programs, we were surprised to discover that there were 221 volunteers that had already served for at least 2 decades. We will be presenting certificates to those able to be in attendance today, and we will be sending them to all the other volunteers throughout the state. Sure. Dane?
Oh, I'll just say it.
Okay, yeah.
I'm sorry. Just the Dane County folks, if you want to start progressing up to the stage. Since I'm sorry we've gone so long and over time, but hopefully next year we will not have COVID pandemic award winners, but we will have a shorter program. But we really, I don't know, the honorees were all so inspirational. It was hard to cut down the introductions. And thank you, Christine, for reading the Bible for them. So, hold on.
Okay, let me see. So, okay. So RSVP of Dane County is being honored now. Ah, okay, here we go.
You can read.
Oh, okay.
The ones
So AdvoCap RSVP has 2 volunteers who are unable to join us today. CISA 10 Foster Grandparents Program has 4 volunteers that will be honored later. Northwest Wisconsin Community Service as agency RSVP has 14 volunteers that will be honored locally. RSVP of Brown County has 3 volunteers who were unable to join us today. RSVP of Cooley Region has 16 volunteers that will be honored locally. And RSVP of Dane County has 90 volunteers, 20 years plus, with several joining us today. So did we get everybody up on stage? Bill Arthur, Joanne Burchett, Barbara Bristol, Catherine Dish, Marlene Gerner, Carol Heidemann, Lee Eiflenfelt, Everett Johnson, Phyllis Johnson, Charlotte Marshall, Pat Osborne, Sharon Owen, Dawn Stuckey, Jeannie Topol, Bob Topol, Roger Uttermark. I hope we got them.
Why don't you want to get the picture and then we can hand out the.
Yeah, let's double up. Come on up. Come on up front. We want your smiling faces in that picture. Just, yeah. Oh, and you're short enough, so you stand in front. Come right around, Bob, so they can get the picture. There you go. Okay, look over at the picture takers here, so we can get your faces in.
Okay.
Very good, thank you.
Sharon Owen. Valerie Burkhoff. Just when it comes down, we'll give them to you as you're coming off the stage. You just want to throw it to me.
If you want to walk this way, we can. What is your name? You have the D's?
RSVP of Kenosha County has 14 volunteers that have served over 20 years, and they will be honored locally. Yeah. RSVP of Portage County has 29 volunteers that will be honored locally. And RSVP of Rock County has 27 volunteers who were unable to join us today. Think of the longevity and the commitment of these volunteers working not only 20 years, but in some cases even more than the 20 years. So we're really excited by this award. We think that this award will be really important in the years to come. Okay, you want to join the picture takers over there?
So I think we're gonna take a picture and get this.
We're fine.
Yeah, yeah, good. Carol Heidemann.
Thank you. Okay.
Carol Heidemann. Will the volunteers that are here today from RSVP of Ottawa Gaming and Calumet County join us on the stage? Gail Gertsch, Kathy Glasheen, and Ann Kidd. Are they here? Yay, good. Oh, good, good, good. While the names are now listed on the online program for those attending in person, the names of their volunteers were accidentally left out of the program. The other three volunteers are Mary McCure, Mary Ann Vanderleer, and Norma Will. So these are our volunteers from RSVP of Ottawa and Calumet County. We welcome and thank them. Excellent, thank you. Will the RSVP volunteers of Racine County join us on the stage? Thank you. We have two, I think. Is that correct? Yes. Here they come. Yeah. And then these. Rock County RSVP has 27 volunteers who were unable to join us today, and 27 volunteers who have served over 20 years. Here are our RSVP of Racine volunteers, Barbara Rigdon and Shirley Chimlewski. Is that pretty good? Thank you. Thank you both. And finally, RSVP of Waukesha County has 12 volunteers that will be honored later. So would you please just say thank you for the longevity of these 20-plus year volunteers. It is my great pleasure to welcome and to introduce Lieutenant Governor Mandel Barnes, who is joining us to provide us with closing remarks on this remarkable day of celebration for all of the service and award winners of programs across the state of Wisconsin that even during the worst of times in a pandemic have made a difference in our community. Lieutenant Governor Barnes, please join us. We're so glad that you could be here today. Thank you. I'm so glad you
thank you so much for the introduction. Thank you for having me, and just want to say thank you to everyone who received an award, because as was mentioned, this is truly a remarkable event given everything that we've been through the last year. I think that's what makes the award that much more special. The fact that we were largely unable to be amongst each other, the fact that there have been so many significant challenges and setbacks for individuals, for families and communities all across Wisconsin and all across this country. But your selfless and tireless work did something to help improve the lives of many. And so for that, I just want to say thank you, because for a lot of folks, there were no other options. There was no one else to turn to. And without you and without your work, who knows what life would have been like for the individuals who have been on the receiving end of your service. So just want to say thank you, and let's just give another round of applause to all the award winners. It's like one of the tricks of giving speeches, you always ask people to give a round of applause for the people that came before you to warm up the crowd, to be a little bit more receptive to the things you have to say. Learn that over time, and I use it frequently. So for anybody who's going to be giving these speeches sometime in the near future, bank that one. And use a joke if you can. But again, I just want to say thank you for inviting me to be a part of honoring these distinguished individuals, these distinguished organizations who've given so much to the people of our state. And I think that we are all grateful that this ceremony is taking place in person again this year. Throughout it all, throughout the challenges that we face, the uncertainty, it's great to be able to gather in the same space with each other once again. And I've been incredibly honored to have a chance to speak at a number of AmeriCorps events in the past, including the 25th anniversary of AmeriCorps in Milwaukee 2 years ago, and virtually for the 2020 meeting. I have a lot of friends who are involved in AmeriCorps, so it's kind of hard for me to get away from the work that y'all are doing, and I think that's a great thing. I'm happy and honored to be associated with such amazing stand-up individuals who give so much of themselves, but not only that, inspire others to get involved in service, inspire others to get involved in this work, because that's what it's all about. I think the more that we get in the business of building community, the better off we'll all be, whether you're in Milwaukee, whether you're in Superior, whether you're in La Crosse or Janesville. The work that takes place is so incredibly impactful. And I've happily rolled up my sleeves and volunteered alongside AmeriCorps members in 2019 and 2020 for the MLK Day of Service. I did as much during my time in the State Assembly. If someone wants to dig deep enough, they'll find embarrassing pictures of me putting together a park bench. It was a struggle. And the picture reflected as much. I had a chance to paint murals in a number of schools in Milwaukee with City Year as well for the Day of Service. And I always look forward to the Day of Service with City Year, because as the motto says, it's not a day off, but a day on. And as many days on that we can have together doing the work in service to community, in service to our state, and service to our country, again, the better off we'll all be. And it demonstrates the importance of that service. And it all makes it all the more important to celebrate the honorees today who continue to give so much of their time, who do more than just the day of service, do more than just paint a couple murals in schools, do more than just hammer nails errantly into a park bench. I think that the service and providing the resources to fellow Wisconsinites is deeply appreciated, not just by myself, but by all of us, by so many people. And again, throughout these tough times, it has been the volunteers, just like the honorees today, that have inspired us all to believe that an end to the pandemic is possible, and that everyone doing their part is the exact way that we achieve that goal. So obviously I have to put in my plug for vaccines. I'm going to assume that most, if not everybody, has gotten their vaccination, but this is our next fight. This is a very critically important fight for us all to stamp out this virus. So I have to say it, as you encourage and inspire others in so many areas of life, please make sure that we're doing the work to inspire and encourage others to keep not just themselves safe, but all of us safe. Because we don't need to go through a year like we had last year. We lost over 8,000 people in this state alone, well over 500,000, over 600,000 across this country. So again, just want to say thank you to everyone who's been honored here today. I want to thank everyone for joining us. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to celebrate those who have given so much in service of others over self. And just want to thank you for all the work that you've done, the work that you're doing, the work that you continue to do, and your inspiration to so many people. Your recognition is well deserved. I appreciate you. Happy to be here. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you. Stay up here with us. We want to get a picture.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our next senator.
Okay. On behalf of all of Serve Wisconsin, Lieutenant Governor Barnes and Governor Evers, we want to thank you all for coming. And, you know, as I said earlier, I was apologizing in case we had any technical difficulties on the live stream, but I think our difficulties were just old-fashioned of going too long and not starting on time. So thank you for sticking with us.
But I'm going to take the microphone. Weren't those inspiring stories that we were able to tell today? My heart goes out to all of the volunteers who do such good work for us in our communities. Thank you so much.
And I just, you know, standing up here for over an hour, just looking out at all of you and seeing the young people on the ends and the people who are a little older in the middle, it's just been like, I just imagine those people moving to the middle and, you know, filling it. And it's just like, I can see how the, you know, cycle of service, you know, we hopefully start them young and it will continue on throughout your lifetimes. And hopefully in, you know, 40, 50 years, you guys will be here receiving your 20 years of service awards. So we will not be here, but we hope that it's happened somewhere where you get your recognition. So
Keep up the good work.
thank you again, and Lieutenant Governor Barnes has graciously offered to stay and take photos with all the award winners. And I know Kyle is arranging the location, and we have the photographer. So please, if you can just, you know, we'll start, like you line up with the individuals, and then we can do the large group ones also at the end. So thank you again, and if anyone has any errors on their awards, just let us know and we will correct them. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much.
All right.